Greetings, my friends. This is Maerlande with episode 3 of Tactical Briefing in Maerlande. So let's have a look and see what's happening in this episode. Right off the bat, we have a battle, an expansion battle. It went exceptionally well. Only 3 Jaguar warriors, but did the job. But then there was a very small independent group with a few cavalries. So let's just take a look, see what I scripted. You have to remember, I'm recording these quite a few months after I actually did the turns. I find that works best. It's difficult to record on the fly. So we can see the cavalry get a few shots. I'm using the fire and keep distance on the slingers. That is working quite well this time. And the Jaguars are doing their job. So that's basically that army broken. Boom, done. I'm going to give that one up. We had an unexpected event. Let's see. Ooh, yuck. Unrest, some misfortune to 3, and some cursed units. Well, the cursed units is trivial. It could curse the commander, but not exactly a major issue. So we've got some changes to my actions. You can see I'm running out one High Priest to the Sun with an army, so that then I can use Divine Blessing and speed things up. I'm also putting another High Priest to the Sun on sacrifice and bringing my profit up. In anticipation, I want to take this throne here at Kareen 71. Back at home, let's have a look at recruitment. I'm doing the basics. Now I'm going to save some money. So I'm just going to do some Maerlande priests now. I figured 2 High Priests of the Sun give me 2 Divine Blessed armies. And of course, maxing out my Jaguars. I need to save money to start a fort as quickly as possible. Over here, I'm combining the 2 previous armies. This one we can have a look. 6 Jags and a few warriors, Slinger warriors. This one here is down to only 3 Jags. We should have a look and see my spacing. You see I've got the lines of Slingers off to the left flank, about equal with the Jaguars, or a little behind. Hopefully that'll draw his attention to the Jaguars. My priest is guarded, just hopefully enough to keep him from rushing forward. The Jags have no orders, so they'll just attack whatever they decide. And the AI tends to prioritize tough targets, which is good with Jaguars. The other squad looks like I'm set up roughly identical, same concept. Tribal King's just on his own. And I started recruiting scouts. I found a scout province. I'm just going to leave it on repeat and scout, scout, scout. Now, for whatever reason, I didn't move this scout this turn. Again, these orders are passed, so whatever happened. Buying tiny bits of PD, and that's basically the action. So you can see that my intention right now, this High Priest of the Sun with his army is going to start gathering the territory up over here around 82, 75. Hopefully I can get a double whammy going. This stupid swap I'm going to leave for later. Pisachas and Ganas aren't a huge problem, but they hit hard. They're monkey ghouls. So the Pisachas are strength 15, 20 hit points. That's pretty hefty for a ghoul. You can shoot them. They're relatively low armored, and they don't have ranged weapons. But for now, I'm just going to let them be. Concentrate my forces up over here. So we've covered recruitment, we've covered the basics, and we've covered the scripting. I think that's sufficient for turn number 7, a pretty basic turn. I'm following the same overall strategic grand plan. There's no research going on and no blood hunting. I'm going to need this unrest to drop anyways, so I'll let the province defense do its job there and not particularly worry about it. Let's take a look at turn number 8. Takes a second here to load these turns, and I could pause the video, but I don't think it matters. Okay, Helheim made a profit. Well, maybe he lost his profit early. Don't think so, though. Turn 8, yeah, he could have lost it in turn 1 or 2 and now have had the 6 months delay to make a new profit. Unexpected event. Well, a good event for a change. Defense 10. And a battle. Well, we lost a few warriors. Oh, and we lost a tribal king. Well, that was a lot of barbarians. Barbarians are a major pain. However, to open up some territory and to give myself a throne, I think that was worth the effort. So I combined these 2 armies, and they should be sufficient to take out simple things like Bear Tribe. Bear Tribe aren't much of a threat. I see Saramata coming. Soromatia. Let's pronounce properly and not muddle my words. Looks like he might be using Blessing. That's his Sacred Lizard Cavalry. They can be really good. So I might want to keep a close eye on that. And I don't see anyone else yet coming. You can see the High Priest of the Sun and his group are headed here to 82. Going to go for 75, try to block off Sormatia. And I've started the first fort, Palisades. With Miquelon, you really need to get forts up quickly. It's really important to understand when you're using something like sacreds that are not capital only, your limitations are going to be gold, dominion, and forts. So you can go about it a couple different ways. You can go for very high gold and very high dominion, or instead you can go for decent gold, in my case with my scales, but then make tons of forts so that you can make Jaguars everywhere. It's more cost efficient in Pretender design, in my opinion, to go a little lower scales and a lot lower dominion, because if I maxed out my dominion to 10, I'd be making 9 Jaguars a turn, depending on whether or not I'm making scouts or priests, because I have to use 1 holy point for priests. So typically 9, or with 2 forts at a 7 dominion, I can make 12 Jaguars a turn. I think the 12 makes more sense, and Miquelon does have the advantage, but its choice for, let's take a look here, is Palisades. 4 months, 600 gold. Really cheap. They have terrible defense, but the solution to that is keep a garrison. And especially with Miquelon with summons, garrison's really not an issue. You have flying sacreds and all kinds of other fun stuff. So let's take a look back at home. I'm still preaching here, or sacrificing, sorry. I put one of my tribal kings on to capture slaves. Now these slaves are pretty crap. They're useless in combat, but they patrol. And you don't pay to buy them, so all you're dealing with is upkeep cost. I'm back doing a little bit of research. Take a look, a little bit of construction. I want to get Sanguine Dowsing Rods. They give a +1 blood hunt bonus to any blood magi. So a blood 1 magi, like a Miquelon priest, becomes a blood 2 for hunting only. But that's worth it. Alright, and let's see, recruitment. Now you can see I'm still trying to conserve gold, because I'm going to put up more forts. And try to get a total of 3 or 4 very, very soon. So recruitment, I'm buying 1 more scout from home. And basically it's the saving gold auction. I think that largely sums up turn number 8. Let's jump out and take a look at turn number 9. Alright, here we go. I see. Okay, the Tempest Lord has claimed a throne. I have 2 battles and 2 events. Well, let's look at the events first. Province income -10. Well, here's one of those events that really has almost no effect on the game. Let's take a look at Nanaboa. It makes an income, I guess, it must have been of 73. I lose 10. Well, that's a single militia. I don't know how long they last. I think they just last a few turns. Perhaps they're permanent. But even so, it's a pretty trivial event. I don't think those have any real effect on the game at all. In Miquelon, okay, -80% tax and a province income of -10. So that hurt. If we take a look at Miquelon, well, it's hard to say. I guess we don't really see the difference in tax because the income's still sitting where it would be. I assume it comes over here in total income where you'll see the change. But even so, I'm hanging on to some serious coin. For recruitment back at home, bought another Miquelon priest. Again, we're saving money. I usually don't worry too much about capital-only recruits, magi, during the first year or so, because the important thing is to expand. You can compensate for not recruiting them later, but if you spend tremendous amounts of gold on, things like this, 300 gold, well, that's a lot of troops you could be expanding with. And the research in the early part may matter, may not, but this is a double-blessed expansion build. We're not leveraging research as our main objective. I want research. I need certain key things, construction and blood being critical. But I don't need the kind of research that would require a research rush. Hey, the Palisades is going. Now, something you might notice. I'm sending a scout over there. Also here, I'm starting to put some of these troops together. Let's have a look, just see what's in that army. Yeah, I'm buying some independent commanders so that I can start ferrying reinforcements around and bring them up to the front. And that's a good thing to use independent commanders for. For my actual armies, I distinctly want to work with tribal kings to get their leadership bonuses. They're not superb, but they're good. Now you see here, I've had to suffer and put these troops just with the High Priest of the Sun for a pretty significant morale penalty. But what I'm going to do, and you can see how it's set up, I'm just going to send the Jags willy-nilly right up the front as fast as possible and hope that he breaks before my morale becomes an issue. And then I'll bring another tribal king up. This army as well is going to go take out lion tribes. Pretty insignificant, especially against jaguars. And an opponent. Let's take a quick look at statistics. Okay, on the scores graph, my expansion is good, but it's barely even got going. This is Vanheim. His expansion is excellent. He may be running a bless, we don't know yet. And Soramadia has an excellent expansion. But given that I'm pouring out an expansion army every 1 or 2 turns, that's going to adjust and I should be in the significant lead. Unless I get cut off and then I have to make a decision on a war. So I think we've covered the basics. I'm going to move here and start another Palisades. Something to mention, this game is no diplomacy. We're not allowed to talk in any way to our opponents. So I'm going to assume, since Soramadia has no armies adjacent to me, he's not going to start a war. We can also notice I could jump out and take a bite out of him, but it's a bit early for me. I think I'll wait. There's lots of space for me to expand, so why start a war that's too early? I sort of run out of things that I think need to be talked about this turn, so I'm going to end this video. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in game. Goodbye, my friends.